Now then boys, this is going to be the ultimate guide to bushcraft trees. The trees that every bushcrafter should know because they have many uses. From fire lighting to properties of trees like strength in branches, how the wood burns and medicinal properties of these trees, and other crazy things like which mushrooms like different types of trees so you know where to get food when you're out in the wilderness. And first up we have got this tree, the oak tree, the mighty oak, the oak of all oaks, or Stephen. Now oak trees are relatively easy to identify because normally they look like this, all old and fucked. And the leaves look like this with these lobes on the side, but there are many different species of oak trees. Some of them have got spiky lobes. But the leaves have got 5 or 6 of these rounded lobes, and they are generally longer than they are wide. And when the tree gets older, it gets this brown, darker, fissured bark. But when the tree is younger, its bark is like this, like a grey silver. But it's still oak. Now oak wood is an extremely good firewood. It burns long and slow. It's also an extremely strong wood, but good luck getting a straight piece of oak. Because in all my years doing bushcraft, I have very rarely ever seen like a walking stick, nice straight piece of oak. And because oak is a hardwood, mushrooms generally have a hard-on for it. There's a lot of mycorrhizal associations between different species of mushrooms that like to grow on oak, both decompose it and basically live in a symbiotic relationship with oak because they just fucking love it. And there is only one other tree that mushrooms love more than oak, and we'll get to that one later. But oak trees produce acorns, and if these acorns are collected, they're then crushed and then basically placed in a bag and have the tannins leached out of them. You can actually make quite a decent flour out of them, which is a very good food source. But if you don't take tannins out, it'll suck the water out of your mouth like the ex-wife sucks the life out of life. Yeah? But it is the astringent properties of these oak tannins that make the bark very good for wounds and inflammation. But the wood from the oak tree is one of the hardest of the hardwoods. Think of that hard kid that you once knew in school. It's like that one. And the hardness of this hardwood makes the wood ideal for making things that you need to be hard, like tools and things for shelters, main structural supports. That's why oak beams are a thing in old buildings. You ain't seen no standing mausoleum with no pine beams, have you? But I suppose cedar. But that's got its own thing. That's coming up soon as well. And because of the nature of how oak wood burns, it's also a very good wood to make embers to cook food on. The wood doesn't tend to spit them nasty ass fireballs of death at you neither, because you get me all the time. Now if there was a porn star that the mushrooms have a hard one for the most, it is this one. In fact, mushrooms are so aroused by this tree behind me, they have got the most mycorrhizal associations and the mushroom species that are associated with this tree. And if a forager walks into a woodland and there is large open clearings like this, then he definitely knows he's hit the money shot. You see, because this tree's canopy is so dense, like a Joe Biden, that no light can get through to the understory, so you don't get them brambles and all the other plant nasties. But it is clearings like this that lure the unsuspecting campers to camping because, you know, it's clear. But this tree behind me has got homicidal tendencies. It's known as, well, it's not actually known as a widowmaker, but this is why widowmaker, the phrase, exists. Because the tree just has a tendency just to drop large limbs at a whim. And if you don't know by now, the beautiful contrasting tree behind me is a beech tree. Now you can usually tell a beech tree a mile off because they're absolutely massive and are girthy. And like I said before, the canopy generally is that thick and dense, it blocks out most of the light. They tend to have this very large root structure. It's called a buttress, that's nice and thick and comes out like little feet. And the leaves look like this. They're all papery and round and almost look plastic. And when they're young and translucent, they actually taste like apple peel. They're actually amazing. But the leaves are oval with no serrations. They feel and sound like plastic and even look like plastic. And the bark is generally a light grey to a dark grey and is all smooth. And then also in autumn time they produce beech nuts, which are still to find any really good ones, because most of the time they're all flat and shit, but if you find some good beech nuts, they're actually quite nice. And the wood of beech trees is very, very strong. It's as hard as oak and it burns the same. You get a long lasting, nice slow burn, and embers are good for cooking. Also the same story as oak. You struggle to find a nice straight piece of beech, but if you do, it's good for tools and shelters and other utensils that you may make any kind of cooking utensil out of. That's another good thing actually. There are actually certain types of trees which basically you can't make cooking utensils out of, like stirrers and to boil things and shit. But both oak and beech are both safe, well, food safe trees to make your things out of. But yeah, you walk into a beech woodland, man, and you see kind of stuff like this and you're a mushroom forager. Honestly, man, straight get a semi. Yeah, but these two trees are really good for mushrooms. Like turkey tail mushroom loves oak and beech. Maitake mushroom loves oak and beech. Same with chicken of the woods, loves oak and beech. Honey fungus, same again, normally kills them, the meadow maker. That's another thing for another video. We're going about mushrooms and mushrooms coming soon. But this oak tree here is actually one of my main spots for maitake mushroom. It generally grows just to the other side of that little bump there. Now, I've been making this video for a while already, so this is also going to be a multiple part series. Man, I'll be giving you guys too much valuable information. So make sure you hit the subscribe button to make sure you catch the next part, because we're like maybe 4-part series, maybe 3-4-part series. Listening to me going a bit nuts in the woods, man, talking to my camera by myself, it's actually quite interesting, you know what I mean? Right boys, the third tree on the list is this one, the lime tree. So we are here in the most pristine of wildernesses looking at this lime tree. Now let me tell you why this is a good tree for bushcraft. The first one is, it's in the branches, the bark and the fibres. Now this is generally a lot easier in spring because the sap is moving through the tree and the inner bark is loose. But let me see if I can do it. If not, there's a way to, oh yeah, it's gonna do it. Oh, it's gonna do it. You know, because when you snap it off, the bark basically tries to come away like this. Now in bushcraft, this is absolutely golden for cordage. You take the bark off. I like to use my teeth like a raw dog. And then, once you have taken the bark off, you basically snap the outer bark here, and then you basically try to work it loose. And like I say, in spring it's easier, but you take the outer bark off and then you dry these fibres out. It's very good for cordage, very good for string. Yeah, the outer bark that's not too good, but there's a technique that you can do where you basically put it in a stream and you leave it for a long time, and a bacterial process called retting happens and the fibres come away nicely. But this and another tree we're going to discuss later on basically is very, very good for even natural cordage basically. So you can just basically take it like this and really crank down on it, and it will it makes a good string. And no, it's not a lime tree like limes, like the fruit lime. It's lime trees in linden, as in the linden tree. It's a different species of tree. A couple of kind of species of lime in the UK. There's small leaf lime and then large leaf lime. This is a large leaf lime, but basically you've got this heart-shaped leaf. It's basically odd-lobed here with small serrations down the edge. You see here with a little tip on the end. And also in spring, these leaves are translucent green and they're very nice. They go a little bit slimy in your mouth, but they're very nice. A bit more like that one. In fact, that's actually new growth. Let's have a taste, shall we? Yeah, not too bad. Ain't gonna sustain yourself in a survival situation, but you know, for eating leaves and shit. Yeah? But yeah, this tree has got these little flowers at this time of year, and this is linden flower. Now if you go on Google and you search linden flower, it's very expensive when you can just collect it yourself. Basically collect these flowers and you make a tea out of them, and they're very good for like cold and respiratory infections. And it's just a nice tea. But you know, only men drink coffee. I mean, come on, in the woods, ain't drinking no lime flower tea. I joke, it's actually quite a good medicinal plant. But apart from the fibres, the edible leaves and the medicinal flowers, lime tends to grow these nice long straight branches. So basically what I do is I cut a branch down like that, strip all the bark off, save it for cordage, and then use a nice strong wood for things that you need strong straight wood for. I mean, come on now. But linden tree wood is actually known for its strength and durability, so if you did want to make something like a walking stick or something that you're going to use long term, then you know this might be the tree for you. Might try and make a bow out of this shit and see how it fares, because honestly, like, there's not many trees that grow limbs as straight as this one. There's ash as well, that's coming up as well.
So people, thank you for watching all the way through, and if you like this kind of shit then don't forget to subscribe to my channel so I can teach you about bushcraft, primitive bushcraft, deadly plants, mushrooms, poisonous mushrooms, medicinal plants, cool trees and other outdoorsy stuff. Oh, and how to survive the apocalypse.